on tenacity. A friend of mine just asked me to say something in answer to problems that some of her students are having about starting and continuing with their doctoral or other research work. They just seem to find it very difficult to get started, or once started to keep going. And all of us have had this problem, of course. And one thing I learned about this was something I learned very early when I was about 7 or 8, cycling home from school in Dorset. There was a steep hill, or at least to me a steep hill, on the way, and I used to try and cycle up it. And I felt it was important to get to the top on my bicycle without getting off. And when faced with this hill, I thought, I can never do this. So what I did was to set a little target just a few yards up the road. I'll just get to that house, and I'll just get to that lamp post, and and I struggled to the next one. And when I got there, I thought, well, I can do a little more. And suddenly I was at the top. And my uncle, Richard Rhodes James, when fighting in the jungles in Burma against the Japanese, as recounted in his book Chindit, did the same thing. You were malnourished, you were ill, you were faced with yet another steep mountain ridge to climb up, a muddy path. You thought, I can't do this, I can't go on. And he would set himself just 10 more steps, then I'll give up. 10 more steps, then I'll give up. And he got to the top. So this is a particular application of a solution which the philosopher Descartes recommended in his discourse on method. He said, when you're faced with a difficult problem in mathematics or philosophy or in any intellectual pursuit, which you think is too impossible to do as a whole approach, break it into bits. Do it one by one, and solve this little part of it, and then another little part of it, and then put all the solutions together. Even the breaking it into bits helps overcome what appears to be an insurmountable problem. And I've found this with much of my work. When faced with writing a book, I think, oh, this is impossible, I can't do all that. So I break it into small bits and write a chapter, and then that's okay, and then I write another chapter. And in terms of getting started, I always recommend to my students that you get started by writing or thinking about the most exciting, the most extraordinary and wonder-filled part of whatever problem you've got. Don't start with chapter 1, introduction, chapter 2, and so on, in a logical way. Start right in the middle, like lighting a bonfire. You get the twigs and the paper, and you light a little bit right in the middle, and then you put on further branches and bits of wood, and it takes light. And once it's taken light, it's very much easier to keep it going. And one part of that is when I have bonfires, and it's a big pile. It often doesn't burn up the whole bonfire. So I let it die down, pull away some of the branches, and then next morning I go back and find some live embers, and I put some twigs on them, and then it's easy to light again. And this is what I was advised to do. Don't finish a chapter or a piece if you're going away for a weekend even, let alone a holiday. Just leave the last page or so, or page or two unwritten. Make a few notes. I'm now going to talk about this. Leave it unfinished. And then when you come back, you're not faced with a blank page and chapter 6 at the top of it. You're faced with, oh yes, I'll just finish this off. You go on, you finish it off. Your mind is now warmed up, and it's very easy to go on and finish it from that point. So if you do that, and you take it step at a step, one step at a time, and the most exciting first and leave it unfinished. Then some of the problems, at least, will be diminished. Good luck.